Ladies and gentlemen, homos and dykes, transvestites and transatlantics, normal people and not so normal people, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. This is episode 1. Are you awake? Probably, if you're watching this. I would assume so. I've taken some notes here. Bear with me. This will probably be, God, I can't even speak. This will probably be one of the most horrific YouTube videos you've watched in the last 14 days. And I'm sure you watch a lot. This will be in the lower tier. We're just going to try and get through this. I've got some topics. We're going to try and be in the news, mixed in with a little bit esoteric. Bring it all together. We'll see what happens. We'll see how this goes. Feel free to leave a comment, call me an idiot, call me a moron, call me whatever you want to call me, because this is not going to be good, but maybe it will. No pressure. We'll see what happens. It's only going to get 24 views, so we'll see where it goes. We'll see where the road takes us. As you can see, I don't even know how to start this thing. I don't even know if I should just transition right into my notes, if I should brief with something else. But I guess why fret? We're just going to get right into it. I've got my mug here, coffee. I've got this Game of Thrones chalice, The North Remembers. Sucks they haven't finished it yet, but I wrote here, I've got some notes, I've got some topics. I wrote down Ghislaine Maxwell. I think this was actually for another podcast I was doing. They asked me to write down my celebrity crush, but I guess I could use that for this. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's Island. Let's talk about it. The Epstein's list. Trump, is he on the Epstein list? I think he's on a lot more than the list. I think he's on cocaine. I think he's on a lot of narcotics. I think he was on the islands touching children. I'm sure there's more than one island. I mean, I know I've been to more than one. They were all there. Trump was there. I'm sure Vance was there. I'm sure Kamala Harris was there doing whatever she was doing, probably critiquing Trump, saying, you're not fucking him right. But, that's just how these things go. They're all pedophiles. They all enjoy the company of children. Why my uncle isn't a billionaire, I couldn't tell you. And that begs the question, are they billionaires? Are they pedophiles because they're billionaires? Perhaps. Or are they billionaires because they're pedophiles? Take that as you will. Maybe I'll test the theory. If you decide to test the theory, shoot me a DM. Let me know what happens. It might take more than a year to manifest after you partake in pedophilia, but who knows? I mean, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to cast dispersions. But let's talk about the island and the lesser known aspects of it. Because if you look at the architecture of the central building, at least the one we're all familiar with the blue lines and the dome on top, what does the dome represent? The dome is the feminine energy, the female energy, the lunar energy, the moon in alchemy. And this is the harvesting of energy. So were they fucking kids? Was it getting satanic? Probably. It always is, right? And so Epstein, shout out to him, there were whistleblowers, females, rape victims, who came out and said, sometimes he didn't fuck us. Sometimes we would just massage him, he'd be naked, we'd rub him down, baby oil, that's where the baby oil first came from. I think Diddy actually ripped him off. Luckily Epstein was dead by then, or I'm sure he would have sued. But they would rub him down, massage him, and then he would take business calls. No ejaculation, no nothing, just purely building up the libido, building up the sexual life force energy, because that's what a lot of this is. Obviously, they're fucking children. Some of them enjoy it, I'm sure. But who really wants to fuck a kid? Maybe it's a phase, maybe you're like, that could be neat, but like, does anyone really want to fuck a kid? I mean, my uncle did, but does anyone else want to? I don't know. I'm not the master of the universe. And so Epstein, he would fuck these children, or he would not fuck these children. He would do both, as they all did. But he would actually immerse himself amongst the sexuality, every sexual aspect he could encounter. He'd put himself around it and then take these business calls, make his money, because these billionaires, these secret society adepts, who most of them are not but have learned from, who have taken the techniques from and used them to make billions of dollars. Hillary Clinton referenced Moloch in the emails, right? Or maybe she referenced Baal, one of the two. And so, did they sacrifice children there? Sure, probably. I wasn't there. At least not at that island. But Epstein, he took these calls, and he took them being massaged, and as his life force was being built up, because when that life force is being built up, when that energy is being built up, that's when you're at your best. That's when you're at your most creative. That's when you speak the best. You give the best presentation. You can give the best sales call. And that's why I was touching a kid before this. Is it manifesting well? I'm not sure. We'll see, hopefully. So if this is really phenomenal, then you know why. And if it isn't, then forget I said that. Well, I'll edit it out. And so this is what these guys do. And this is what the Dalai Lama, I don't remember which one. It might have been the Dalai Lama. It might have been the Fortnite Lama. It was one of the Lamas. And he would actually lay with his niece, his young niece. I can't speak to her age, but she was underage. And you guys are probably sidetrack. We're going to sidetrack for a moment. Why am I wearing an earbud? Why am I wearing an earbud? Could be because I want to listen to classical music as I perform this solo podcast to help ease the brain. It could be because there's an FBI agent, or maybe a Mossad agent, or a CIA agent, or a Jesuit spy. Use your imagination. Maybe one of them's in my brain telling me what to say, saying, hey, we got to make sure to influence your 14 followers. We're really going to give some good information to your 6 viewers here today. We're going to get them. But yeah, I just had to address that. The Dalai Lama, shout out to him, he would lay in bed with, and this was in his diary. This was in, I believe, one of his maids, or it wasn't his maid, it was like a caretaker, a health associate in her diary. And she wrote about this, and she even wrote about it, whoever it was, not in a malicious way, and not in a, like, oh, I hate this guy, he raped me kind of way, but more, this guy was an interesting dude, to put it that way. She didn't view herself as a victim of sexual assault, as many would. She just viewed it as, oh, this was a practice of this guy, and they did a good job of covering it up afterwards, but this is what he would do, and this was because he wrote about it. He wanted to put himself into that situation, because when you can withhold from the temptation, the sexual temptation, that's when your creative energy, that's when, rather than releasing it through the root chakra, it rises to the crown chakra. And this is when you have epiphanies. This is when you have moments of enlightenment. This is when, again, when an artist paints their best picture, makes their best song, delivers their best performance in an acting movie, or, murders children the best, genocides Gaza the best. To each their own. They're all doing it. Maybe, hey, we want to kill a bunch of kids. Let's preserve our life force. We want to bomb Japan. Let's make sure not to nut this week. Or like Floyd Mayweather or whoever it was. I know these guys abstain from sex before their boxing matches, and I don't think it's even necessarily because they're familiar with this practice, but they do it anyway because they have seen results. And so if you're an athlete, if you're whatever, you can get into that flow state easier if you withhold from a different type of flow state, essentially. And so the Dalai Lama, this is what he was doing. This is what Epstein was doing, along with fornication with underage individuals, of course, because at the end of the day, when you're raping a little boy in the butt, you're hitting I don't know how in-depth here we can get, but you're hitting a moment of genius there as well, because they view sodomy as the gateway to spiritual enlightenment, occult enlightenment knowledge that man is not supposed to have. And so that's why I'm so smart. And so, yeah, this is what they did. And this is what the Masonic apron, I'll flash up the apron in Masonry with the G, The G standing for generative principle. The G stands for all sorts of things. The G stands for generative principle. Jesuit stands for grand architect. It stands for goat. It stands for grandmother. It stands for Greenland. It stands for everything. Those last two, obviously not, but it stands for all sorts of things. What other things? Gay, whatever, right? And so, but the G, generative principle, is referring to the creative energy of the universe, that being the semen. And that being, as we saw, the dome on Epstein's Island, the semen, or the phallic, the penis, is represented by the obelisk. I don't know if there was an obelisk on Epstein's Island. I wasn't there. However, most of the times when there is a dome present, St. Peter's Basilica, Washington, D.C., the Luxor Hotel in Vegas, or the Luxor Temple in Egypt, there is always a dome as well as a obelisk, because these are the male and female principles in nature, the reproductive principles in nature, which create life. And so this is why when they withhold their sacred energy, their seminal energy, they can create whatever they want much more easier. And this is why they rule the world. And this is why I'm paying $4.50 for a Red Bull when it should cost 26 cents. This is why the world is the way that it is. This is why, you know, they're charging subscriptions on your grandmother's whatever. They're charging subscriptions up the ass. So that's the whole point. And they can do this because they have influenced the mental plane, the world of images, the world of pictures, through their sexual deviancy. And so, yes, the G in Freemasonry, generative principle, represents semen, I don't know. Semen, D-men, E-men, G-men, whatever. And yeah, this is the world we live in. This is occult science. This is occult practice. This is occult art. And going back to Epstein's Island and that image that we see, this temple, if we want to call it that, this is actually taken from the Phoenician bathhouses. So let's look at a picture here. Can we pull up the Phoenician bathhouses, please? Any day now? Yeah, what am I paying you guys for? There's no one there. I'm not looking at anything. I'm looking at the child I just touched. But I'm going to pretend I'm looking at something so that we can pull this up. Oh, look at that, Phoenician bathhouse. So this is taken from this. It's also on Ellen. Why is it on Ellen? I couldn't tell you. Shout out to Ellen, though, Dyke. Sip of that, sip of this. I have a crippling caffeine addiction because the elites have done this to me. They've programmed me to rely on stimulants because, I don't know, they're coming in on my dad's face. I don't know. What world am I living in? Should we get past that, or should we stay on the topic of Freemasonry? Not many know much about it. I've got an uncle, 32nd degree. I don't know what degree is. I probably shouldn't be saying this. He's the one talking to me in my earbud. He's in the Philadelphia Lodge. Shout out to him. Most Freemasons, they got no idea what's going on. It's kind of like if you're a soldier in Israel. You're like, we're fighting the good fight. Little do you know, you're burning alive mothers and children and men. Shout out to them. So yeah, these people at the lowest levels of their operations, they don't know what they're doing. They're just there for fun, participation awards. Kind of like me on the varsity basketball team my sophomore year. I was just there. I was there for the ride, riding the bench. I was going to get my time, but I was riding the bench, watching everybody, seeing my teammates shoot, pass, whatever. They'd miss a shot. I'd have to, oh, dang. Or they'd make a shot. I'd celebrate in my head. I'm like, oh, fuck these guys. Every shot they're putting up, I'm hoping they're missing. I'm praying, like, I would have made that. Put me in, coach. But, you get the point. Hey, 3 ball. But really, I'm deep down. I'm like, fuck these fucking faggots. But you get what I'm saying, right? And so that's Freemasonry. Freemasonry created by the Jesuit order, the Jesuit general. Why do the Jesuits have a general? This is not at all what I wrote on this sheet, but this is what we're getting into. Why do they have a general? Are they, if they're just a popery order, they're just for Christ. We're just spreading the gospel. The gospel of what? The gospel of military? The gospel of shooting kids in the fucking face? The gospel of coming on a 13-year-old's back for enlightenment? The gospel? Well, what is this gospel you speak of? Gospel. Yeah, so these Jesuits, Saturnian worshippers, they report to the Jesuit general. They have a general because they have a general because they are a military order, because they are an intelligence agency for the Vatican. Created in 1535, signed into papacy superiority, papacy control. God, I can't speak. I apologize. I'm sorry. This is the first episode. What do you want from me? Stop watching. Go watch Controlled Opposition, Tucker Carlson if you want, if that's what you're on the internet for. Are you on the internet for the real shit? For us to talk about coming on children. That's what we're here to talk about. Does Tucker Carlson talk about that? No, he talks about, 9/11. I talked about 9/11 6 years ago when I was sucking on my mother's tit. I was talking about 9/11 on 9/11 before I was born. 9/11, which was a Masonic ritual. See, now I'm what's the word? Now I'm overcompensating for lack of energy with more energy. Shout out to that kid. Again, he's really getting me going. But 9/11, a Masonic ritual, the Twin Towers representing the twin pillars of Masonry, Yakin and Boaz, which come from Jerusalem, Solomon's Temple, which is where the Knights Templar stayed, housed themselves when they got into Sufi mysticism. What is the word? What's that video game? Assassin's Creed. It was the Templars versus the Assassins. The Assassins were of what race or what religion? What was it? Islamic, kind of Islamic, but it was something else. Sufi, maybe, no. It was something. But this is where the Jesuit order somewhat came from. And Jews. That's all I got to say about that. But people, do the Jews run the world? You really think the Jews run the world? Yeah, go watch Nick Fuentes. Go watch Alex Jones. It's the Jews. What Jews? What Jews is it? Tell me, please. Anyone who says the Jews run the world needs to get off TikTok, needs to get off YouTube, needs to pick up a book, because it has and always has been, and will has and has, Hasberg, it has been the Vatican for years. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Not great at this. Again, we're getting started. Bear with me, please. Bear with me as we continue. But it has been the Vatican since the dawn of time, because the Vatican, Roman Catholicism, is pagan Babylonian mystery worship. The worship of Mary comes from Babylon. Comes from the worship of Semiramis, Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz, the Trinity. This evolved into Egypt. Osiris, Isis, and Horus, whatever way you want to arrange them, go for it, be my guest, but it's always mother, father, and son. Isis, Osiris, and Horus, Hellenized into Greek, or Greeks Hellenized it into Isis, Hippocrates, and something else, and then eventually it turned into the Jesuit IHS. And the H is actually a C because it stands for Intelligentsia Corona Sapientia. And we know that from Jesuit priest Athanasius Kircher S.J., who wrote all of the Egyptian lore that has since been embedded into Rosicrucianism and Freemasonry. Two front societies for the Jesuit order to continue their operations. The Jews were never allowed to be Jesuits. Loyola, Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuit order. Loyola was a crypto Jew. No, he wasn't. He was not a crypto Jew. He was not a converso. This is Jewish propaganda, or Jesuit propaganda at that. Charlie Kirk dies and everyone, oh, it's Israel, Mossad. It was a Democrat, it was a Republican. It was the Vatican. The CIA, who controls the CIA? Israel doesn't control the CIA. Over half of the CIA directors in history were not Jews. They were Knights of Malta. The first Prime Minister of Israel was a Knight of Malta. The Havara Agreement, which called for easy Jewish immigration from Germany into Palestine, signed by Hitler, a Vatican asset, was to warrant the creation of Israel. Who caused this? The Vatican. So take that as you will. Maybe I'm just making things up. Might be trying to get views, trying to go from 24 to 48. We'll see what happens, but that's about as much as I can yap on celebrity crush Ghislaine Maxwell. It's kind of funny they call her Ghislaine Maxwell. I guess you could call the island Ghislaine if you want. 4238 Ghislaine, right? Take that as you will. Expand on Epstein's sex magic. Kind of did that. I guess we could talk more about sex magic. If you want to get into I was talking about holding in the release, right? Sending the energy upwards rather than releasing it. There are other occult traditions, other occult practices where you actually, and as you're about to orgasm, as you're in the midst of orgasm, you are in a process, you're in a state of manifestation. And this works because essentially manifestation in alchemy is the thought fueled with emotion. And when the emotion is real, when you bring that thought from the future into the now, it incites the emotion. So the process here is you're jizzing, or, you know, whatever you call it, you're just orgasming, whatever. I've never made it happen. If you're jizzing, right? Sorry, I'm really getting into the mental space. As you're releasing, as you are having those heightened senses, that heightened feeling, whatever, this is when you are bringing the future into the now and visualizing. Because this is emotion, this is the water mixing with the fire being the thought, or the air being the thought, the water being the emotion, and the fire being the action. So you're mixing that alchemically. It's the alchemical process from within. There's two types of alchemy, the outwards and the inwards. The outwards is what the elites do. This is what Saturn represents. This is the combination of the feminine and masculine. The moon is the feminine. The moon is the feminine. The sun is the masculine. And the black sun, Saturn, is the combination of both, which is why the Jesuit order logo has 32 sun rays. The Jesuits wrote the 32 degrees of Freemasonry. The Jesuit logo is the black sun of Saturn with 16 curved rays and 16 straight rays, which are the masculine and the feminine. I digress. I might just die if I keep talking about this. So you're jizzing, right? You're having that inward alchemical process, and it is amplified tenfold compared to that of just meditation because of that feeling. Neville Goddard, book right here. Shout out to me. I got these books right here. I don't know why I brought them. I figured first show, add some, I don't know, it's just a white background, white table, add some novelty, pun intended, to the situation. So yeah, take that as you will. If you want to read any of these, I'll get that out of the way. You can figure out some of this shit. But what was I saying? Something about ejaculation. Gosh, can't be doing that to myself. I got off track there. Let's take a sip. I hope you're taking notes so you can look all this up afterwards just to realize I made it all up. And now you know how to spot disinformation. But yeah, this process, there was a cult witch, and she would actually, she secured her first publishing deal by essentially fingering herself every single night, or not every night, but every time in front of a full moon. And they asked her, how'd you get this publishing deal for this book? And she said, I was touching myself nightly. And so I took that approach for a while. It resulted in nothing but depression. And so now I'm like, maybe I'll take the other approach, hold it in, see within. And I've been doing that for 4 hours, so we'll see how that goes. Let's get into Jimmy Kimmel. I wrote this down. He got fired for saying some things. I'm not sure what exactly. Something about Charlie Kirk. If you're watching Jimmy Kimmel in 2025, then I assume you're above the age of 72 years old. So I don't know why you'd be watching me as well. I actually have an older demographic when I first started on TikTok. I said first started, like I've been doing this for... I was not just beating off. I was shaking my hoodie for some breeze. I don't know why I said just first started, like I've been doing this for 4 years. I've been doing it for 4 months, but yeah, I started with an older demographic. I'd look and be like, oh, 55 plus, 25% of followers. That's interesting. Shout out to you guys. I mean, you guys got the bread, so I don't know why you're not sending me donations. Please do. Let's get it going. Got the lucid dreaming course coming out soon. I'm going to talk about lucid dreaming soon here. But Jimmy Kimmel fired, not fired. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel controlled? Sure, probably. They're all controlled. Jimmy Kimmel on Epstein's Island, most likely. I wouldn't be surprised. I do beg the question, though. And this is my own internal monologue. Who knows, whatever. Maybe I'm crazy. Is Jimmy Kimmel real? Has anyone ever seen Jimmy Kimmel ever in the history of life? Like, not even in person, but just online. Like, around other people. Is he a real guy? I feel like Jimmy Kimmel was the first AI person ever created. And obviously, he's interviewing actors mostly, so they can go on there, talk like they're talking to a real person. Like, you know, like they're Jon Snow talking to a wolf who's really a dude in a green bodysuit. Shout out to Game of Thrones. I think I mentioned that already. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, weird guy, real guy, who knows? I'm not here to say. I am here to question, though, because that's what we do. Conspiracy discourse. Jimmy Kimmel. That just sounds like a fake name, too. He's not interesting. He looks weird. He looks fake. I don't know. So do I guess. I've had some people ask if I'm AI, so... Maybe we all are, man. What is this world I'm living in? What is this world that I'm living in? Are any of you real? Are any of me real? Is this life real? Israel, Palestine, Gaza, Ireland. Shout out to Tucker Carlson, Conor McGregor. Shout out to all of them. Are any of them real? I don't know. I can't be the only one who feels like they're just living in the Truman Show daily. I got to stop talking directly into the mic like that. So I apologize. That's about all I had for Jimmy Kimmel. He got fired and then rehired. Kind of like I had a pedophile manager I worked with, kind of like him. Shout out to him. Israel plus UN members walk out on Netanyahu. Let's pull that up, shall we? Take a look at this. Let's watch this. Netanyahu. For a while, I like years ago, I didn't even know who Netanyahu was. I just heard Netanyahu. I thought they were talking about a fantasy football league. And shout out to me, I think I'm 1-2 this year so far. Ashton Gianti's been disappointing. Mike Tomlin is the bane of my entire existence. I could go an hour on that. I just might. I feel like he's a Jesuit asset at this point. He has ruined my life more than any other man on earth. I'm kidding, because obviously we should not be externalizing sports. We should not be letting externalized figures, fake AI people, penetrate our mental state. Penetrate our mental states, ruin our thought forms, ruin our quality of thought, which thus then ruins our own external reality. I'm gonna get better. I promise. Time will tell. With time comes greatness. With greatness comes more time. I should be a rapper. Israel plus UN members walk out on Netanyahu. We just watched that, or you just watched that. I'm staring at a blank wall right now. Yeah, so what's the deal with this? Are all members of the UN hating on him? Was this a protest? That's what they said it was in the headline. They're protesting the Israel-Palestine conflict. I've actually got it on insider information that what happened really was they served a past the date jambalaya at lunch at the UN headquarters. Netanyahu's speaking. His speech was right after that. So this was actually, you know, don't take my word for it. I got this from the guy in the earbud, but that's really what went down. They wanted to hear the speech, but they were in a rush to get out of there, and I don't blame them. I've had jambalaya before too, and never again. I'm a jambalaya right now. I'm just making this all up. But I see something like this, and I think the UN, a globalist organization, obviously, it's textbook globalism, just like the Trilateral Commission, founded by all Jesuits. Should I get into the Trilateral Commission right now? Is that what we should do? A little trilateral? I could try. Lateral, shit, you know. Let's go Trilateral Commission. I'm taking a tri-sip right now. Triceratops. Try something new. Tri-tip. Try your best. All right, so the Trilateral Commission. Oh gosh, I forgot it all. Founded in 1934 or 1974. Oh, man. I'm very disappointed. I think it's 1974. Don't quote me on it. Founded in 1974 by David Rockefeller, alongside his good buddy. And this is a very important man in the world of globalized politics, the quest for a one world technocracy, one world technocratic government. The Trilateral Commission, founded by David Rockefeller, a Knight of Malta. So this is allegiance to Rome, the Knights of Malta. Similar to the Jesuit order, not as militarized, but essentially anyone who takes the Knight of Malta oath is pledging allegiance to the papacy, to the Vatican. And so Knight of Malta, they're scattered all across government, military, and world politics, right? I've got a video about them. Go and watch that on my TikTok. Or don't fuck me, block me, do whatever you want. David Rockefeller, Knight of Malta, co-founded with Zbigniew Brzezinski. Zbigniew Brzezinski. Pays that man his money. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I believe he's Polish. Although it sounds Russian-ish, I don't know. KGB, shout out Rounders. So these two men founded the Trilateral Commission, which is a foreign policy think tank, privately funded. So this is where essentially billionaires dictate foreign policy, and their members are made up of politicians, and these politicians go and carry out this foreign policy in their own respective governments. Similar to the Bilderberg Group, or the UN's kind of different, but similar. What's the other one? Council on Foreign Relations. And so these two men, alliance to Rome. Zbigniew Brzezinski is one of the most prominent, obvious Roman assets. He was Jesuit educated at Loyola High School in Montreal and received 2 different honorary Jesuit degrees from Fordham and Georgetown University. He also set up the Vatican Hotline, which was a private communication channel within the White House when he served as Secretary or National Security Advisor under President Carter, I believe. This was after the founding of the Trilateral Commission. I believe this was 74 to, or no, this was late 70s, early 80s, I think. Might have been late 80s, but he wrote a book, America, Between Two Ages, America's Role in the Technotronic Society and the Technotronic Government, whatever it was. Essentially saying, yeah, we're trying to create a one world government. This is what we're doing. This is the role America is playing. We will have you in deep surveillance. Everyone, all of your records, all of your information will be subject to instantaneous retrieval under authorities. We're keeping eyes on all of you. Saying it good or what? Good? All right, good. Sorry, just making sure. Yeah, so that's the world we're living in. That's the world I'm living in. Yeah, that's Zbigniew Brzezinski, Jesuit asset, Roman Vatican asset. Knight of Malta, co-founder also of the Polish branch of the Knights of Malta. So he's a U.S. Knight of Malta and a Polish Knight of Malta. David Rockefeller, Knight of Malta. So they created the Trilateral Commission, which is trilateral. It's between the U.S., or North America specifically, Europe, and Japan. Or this was first Japan, has later moved into more eastern provinces. And so the Tadashi Yamamoto was another founder of the Trilateral Commission from the Japan side, obviously. And he was Jesuit educated at Sophia University in Tokyo, actually, before transferring to the U.S. and receiving his MBA from Jesuit Marquette University. Look it up. See if I'm right. I'm right. And the current head of the U.S. branch, or North American branch of the Trilateral Commission, I believe is Megan O'Sullivan, if I'm not mistaken, and she was Jesuit educated at Fordham or Georgetown, one of the two. Trump is a Jesuit educated as well. He sent all his children to Jesuit schools. Maybe they just got the best cafeteria or something. I don't know. What are they serving? Child, probably adrenochrome, most likely. So that was the Trilateral Commission. That's not at all what I was supposed to be talking about, but I decided to just get into it. Let's go back to the UN, Israel, up on the screen there. UN members walk out on Israel. So I see something like this, and I start pondering. I'm pondering. I see something like this, and I wonder, how real is this? Is real or is not real? Most of you are going to call me crazy. Well, obviously they're protesting. It's like this war. Let me set the stage. Albert Pike called for 3 world wars in his letter to Mazzini, something like that. I really should know these things. I'd look a lot better, look a lot more official if I knew these things. Again, it's the first episode. It's the first one. Are you awake or are you not awake? I'm only half awake. Let's talk about being awake, actually. When you fall asleep, I meditate. Sometimes you meditate and you drift off into sleep. See, we're going off, and this is the show, whether you like it or not. You could comment. You know what? Comment, say, hey, I don't really care about the political. I don't care about the political and the news stuff. I just want the esoteric, secret societies, ruling class bloodlines. This is what I'm here for. Say that, or say, hey, let's get into politics. Let's go that route. I'm not the most political guy. I'll sharpen my knowledge on it if that's what you guys want. So leave a comment. Most likely I'll read your comment. I'll say, fuck you. This is my show. I'm going to do what the fuck I want, watch it or not. But, I might take it into consideration. You call me a fucking homo or something, I'll be like, all right. Ease off. I'm not, but I get your point. We'll do what you want, right? Maybe fuck me in the ass, rape me, mentally program me, because that's what they do when they rape you. And this is how they create mind-controlled slaves within the Jesuit order. God, bro, I've read some books. You guys don't even think I'm acting. I've read some books where if I told you what was in those books in regards to the most internal aspect of the Jesuit order in Jesuit monasteries in Rome, dude, you'd be sick and you wouldn't be able to eat for a week on what they do to these members, because there's different types of Jesuits, those that become Jesuit priests through scholarship, those that are Jesuit educated, and then those that are raised within the order, born into the order. And bro, God, there's some whistleblowers, some ex-programmers, because they took Joseph Mengele's, a bit of his programming technique, mixed in with their own from their time as the Great White Brotherhood in ancient Egypt and their mystery schools across the Lucius, Babylon, Egypt, all over the place, the East and the Western world. And their methods of mental programming, which pretty much all of it is sexual and inducing a state of absolute terror, absolute fear, which then turns into absolute bliss and a new blank personality that you could program. But bro, I've read some shit. If you look into Mengele and what he did, he was saved by the Vatican rat lines. He utilized the Vatican rat lines to escape Nazi Germany after World War II. the Vatican rat lines. The Vatican helped various Nazi criminals escape into South America and Europe. And so they utilized some of Mengeles' programming techniques within their own order. And bro, it's like, I mean, should I get into? I think this video would get taken down if I got into that. But if you guys want to hear about that, give me $5 million and I'll talk about that. Or I'll show you. If you ask for the book, I'll send you the book. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll gatekeep it. Because fuck you. But I won't. I'm not that guy. I'm not controlled. What on earth was I talking about? I need someone here to be like, dude, stay on track. God. What was I talking about? I was talking about the UN, Israel, the United Nations. But after that, before I got into the programming, I apologize. I'm going to have to edit this. What the hell on earth was I talking about? Okay, I think I just said, yeah, comment whatever, yeah, program me, whatever. And then I got into the programming. The UN, though, I see something like this with the UN. Albert Pike, 3 World Wars. I was on that for a second before my ADHD brain, the other personality kicked in, the other half, the programmed half kicked in there for a moment. Sorry about that. Albert Pike, 3 World Wars. The Third World War will lead to a one world government, will lead to all the nations of the world coming together saying, hey, save us from this war, from this bloodshed. My children are dying. They're taking away food. The Nelk boys are interviewing warmongering officials. We need change. And they'll say, hey, change is coming. Change is on the way. And where does this start? Well, the change is on the way. We're making a one world government. So where does this start? Somewhere like the United Nations, which was created by the Vatican. And so you look at it and you're like, all right, they walk out on Netanyahu. It's all over the news. It's all over Twitter. Everything anti-Israel is all over Twitter. Everything anti-Jews, all this anti-Jewish rhetoric is all over Twitter, all over YouTube. If these Jews, if these Israelis were really in power, if they really had the grip on the media you think they had, or at least the ability to make those decisions, the authority to make those decisions, you would think it wouldn't be this obvious. It wouldn't be this in your face. And it's a perfectly executed job to where a lot of people, like, I see memes, bro, and it's people being like, oh, Hitler was right. Tucker Carlson just came out and he's like, oh, if you actually look at history, maybe we should have sided with Hitler. Are you fucking, like, what world am I living in? The first Holocaust denial narrative on the internet came from a Jesuit priest. The Jesuit order have been manipulating everything for 500 years. The reason that you think Jews run the world is because the Jesuit order have allowed you to. The Jesuit order is not Jewish, contrary to what you may have heard. You have no understanding of them or their history. I'll get more in depth on it. I've got an upcoming video about how they have created and controlled Freemasonry because I'm the fucking best on the internet at this. I'm not. I'm just the best who makes good videos about it. I learned from people way better than me. There's people worlds better than me. Although that's just in regard to Jesuitism. I think I am the best, if not one of the best, at all of it. The broad scope of it all. Jesuit order, Freemasonry, Rosicrucian Society, Knights Templar, Skull and Bones. Oh, look at the skull. And you know what? I'm going to flash you something real quick just because I got fucking magic powers here. This is, bang, this is the Skull and Bones symbol. This is the papacy symbol. This is the symbol from the Lesser Key of Solomon. This is a sigil for Lucifer. Or no, it's for Baal in the Lesser Key of Solomon. Bang, bang, bang. Seem a bit familiar? Hey, I just make connections. This is what we do. Now, as I was saying, you see this happen in the UN, and you're like, all right, fuck Israel. Everyone's saying fuck Israel. The college girls were right. The college protests, they were right. They were saying free Palestine before anybody. Conservatives were saying, look at these fucking females. Look at these bitches. They're getting it all wrong. They're just, Palestine. Don't drink Starbucks in Palestine. And we're like, Palestine, whatever. But no, and now at this point, everybody, conspiracy theorists alike, Republicans, liberals, homos, straights, retards, geniuses, everyone is saying F Israel. They're the enemy. And if you think this is not a part of a greater plan, then you are also the enemy. And all these controlled opposition, chaos agents, Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, all of the above. It's Israel. It's Israel this. It's Israel that. These guys that are getting canceled, Joe Rogan, it's Israel. It's fake. It's God. I'll make that joke to my dying day. Till next week. And yeah. So I guess you see this happen in the United Nations, and I'm not saying this isn't real and this isn't organic, but to take this at face value and say, wow, the people of the world are really standing up to Israel. Are they? Or is the United Nations, the members of these United Nations, the members of the United Nations, who most are probably Knights of Malta. I'm not going to claim that any are because I don't have any direct knowledge on that specifically, although I'll get into it because I'm trying to be great. I'll get into it. Research it, at least. Are they just playing their role to further villainize Israel? To further villainize this genocide, which is terrible regardless of what people say, regardless of what the media paints it as. Obviously, it's horrific. All war is horrific. But is this part of the broader scheme to villainize this Jewish Khazarian mafia versus these Palestinians, or Judaism versus Islam, which Albert Pike paints the Third World War will be? Is this to create strife in the American populace? Civil War in America, Charlie Kirk's death, Civil War in America, the alchemy, again we go back to alchemy, the alchemical allegory or symbolism of the phoenix, which represents order out of chaos. Must they first create this chaos to bring about the order? Their technocratic one world government, which is referenced, allegorized in Francis Bacon's The New Atlantis, which says, hey, we're going to take over America and turn it into the society that we desire it to be, where everyone stays inside, where everyone lives through electronics, lives through their smartphone, lives in their own state of initiation of the initiation of Ignatius Loyola, who prior to his creation of the Jesuit order was having visions of Mary, mother worship from Babylon, worship of the mother from Babylon, who was having these visions in his time of solitude, spent a year in solitude, maybe more, give or take, after being injured in a war, leg shot off by a cannonball. The Jesuit order creates the coronavirus, the COVID-19 pandemic, to where we are all initiated in solitude, not allowed to leave our homes. Where does the term corona come from? It comes from the IHS, the H being the C, Intelligentsia Corona Sapientia of the Jesuit order, the IHS. The term Delta comes from the Delta of the Nile, the Egyptian priesthood, which has since transformed into the Jesuit order. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I belong in a mental institution, man. Oh, God. Oh, God. What did Kanye say? I just tell the truth in a world full of lies? Oh, good God. Maybe I... Fuck, dude. What am I talking about? Maybe not. Maybe, you know what? Go to Target. Buy your fucking... Go buy a body armor and vodka, mix them together and watch Fox News. All right, let's do an ad read. I'm kidding, obviously. I don't have ads. I don't have ads on this show. Who's gonna advertise to 19 people? Not me. I guess I could do my own ads. Go follow me on everything, all of the above: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, OnlyFans, Rumble. I will get some streams going soon. Give me some topics for some streams. Then I can accurately, thoroughly repair. Maybe you guys want this to turn into a live show. I sure don't, because I'm going to have to do a lot of editing because this has been horrific. If you guys have any editing, if any of you are apt at editing short form content and want to help me out for free, want to volunteer to the cause, by all means, hit the boy up. Although I will be creating the community. It will be a paid community. It won't be a lot. I'm not an asshole, but excuse me. You guys can edit my edit videos, get affiliate commissions for that when that happens. Hopefully before I pass, sometime in the next century. Next here I wrote lucid dreaming. Because I am creating the lucid dreaming course, I've been doing a lot of lucid dreaming for the past 5 years. I try to study genius, copy genius, emanate's not the word. What's another word for copy? Well, I'm an idiot. Is it emanate? Maybe, whatever. Copy genius. Copy someone like Nikola Tesla, who utilized his lucid dreams. He lucid dreams, I wet dream. He utilizes those dreams to... Essentially, this is where his inspiration came from. He also used them to perfect his inventions before they were ever created. And so what is lucid dreaming? It's an out-of-body experience. It really is. Because just like astral projection, just like remote viewing, you are going inward and out of the physical body into the etheric astral body, and you are traveling the realm, whether that be the mental plane, whether that be deep in your own unconscious during a lucid dream. And what is dreams? What are dreams? Not what is dreams. God, I fucking sound like an uneducated piece of dog shit. I don't know, man. I don't even want to keep talking. I'm looking at the clock. It's 52 minutes. I might just end it here. I feel like we've gotten some good stuff out of this, maybe, potentially. I might go back and edit this, say, wow, you suck, and not post it at all. So if I post this, then... who knows? This is episode 1, though. Please leave some comments for the algorithm and say, hey, this was good, this part was good, this part was fucking horrific, get better at this. You did this well, get better at this. I do appreciate the criticism as much as the support. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how these things typically end. I'll see you next year for episode 2.